As you might recall from my previous video, I recently celebrated the 35th anniversary of An American Tail, and now today's the 30th anniversary of its sequel. Let's talk about An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings my fellow YouTubers and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name's Doyle, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1991 animated comedy western flick, An American Tail, Fievel Goes West, released by Universal and produced by Steven Spielberg for his Amblin Entertainment and his new animation company, Amblimation, which of course this was their first film, which he set up to keep the animators of Who Framed Roger Rabbit working. Now, Don Bluth unfortunately did not return to direct this, even though after he had just done All Dogs Go to Heaven a couple of years before this. Now, the film was directed by Phil Niblink and Simon Wells. Now, of course, Spielberg co-produced this with Robert Watts. Now, most of the cast from the first movie are back, except for maybe a few. Anyway, let me see here. Yes, Philip Glasser, Dom DeLuise, Nehemiah Persoff, and Erica Young reprised their roles. However, Kathy Cavadini replaced Amy Green as the voice of Fievel's sister Tanya. We have new characters introduced, and they're voiced by John Cleese, Amy Irving, John Lovitz, and legendary James, or should I say, Jimmy Stewart in his final film role. And James Horner returned as the composer for the score, and one of its songs, Dreams to Dream, earned a Golden Globe nomination. Now, the film came out on this very day in November of 1991, November 22nd to be exact. Unfortunately, it was released the same day another animated film came out, and that was Disney's 30th animated movie, Beauty and the Beast, which a re-review of that is coming up later on tonight. So anyway, while the film didn't quite do as well as its predecessor, it did better on video, though. And this, of course, would only be the... Well, actually, this wouldn't be the first time one of the things that... Well, one of these flicks that involve Bluth or Spielberg go up against, of course, because 3 years before this, The Land Before Time went up against Oliver and Company, and then Bluth's recent hit, All Dogs Go to Heaven, was up against The Little Mermaid. But anyway, let's go on ahead and get into the story. That about covers it. In 1890, 5 years after immigrating to the U.S., the impoverished Mouskowitz family discovers that conditions are not as ideal as they had hoped, as they find themselves still struggling against the attacks of mouse-hungry cats. Fievel spends his days thinking about the Wild West dog sheriff Wiley Burp, while his older sister Tanya dreams of becoming a singer. Meanwhile, Tiger's girlfriend, Miss Kitty, leaves him to find a new life out west, remarking that perhaps she is looking for a cat that's more like a dog. Shortly after, the mouse community falls under another attack by the cats, this time led by a British aristocratic cat named Caterwall, forcing the mice, including Fievel's family, to flee into the sewers. There, they come across a mouse in a cowboy outfit who is in fact a mouse marionette controlled by Caterwall, who entices the mice into moving yet again to a better life out west. Tiger chases the train trying to catch up with his friends, but is thrown off course by a pack of angry dogs. While on the train, Fievel wanders into the livestock car, where he overhears the cats revealing their plot to turn them into mouse burgers. After being discovered, he tries to escape and warn everyone, but is thrown from the train by Caterwall's hench spider, Tiarchula. leaving him stranded in the middle of the desert. His family is devastated once again over his loss and arrive in Green River, Utah with heavy hearts. Upon arrival at the 320-acre Wild West town named Green River, Utah, established 1870, Tearchula blocks up the water tower, drying up the river, and Catarwal approaches the mice and proposes to build a new saloon together, although intending to trick the mice into doing the bulk of the work and then eat them afterwards. Meanwhile, Fievel is wandering aimlessly through the desert, as is Tiger, who has found his way out west as well, and they pass each other. However, they each figure that the other is a mirage and continue on their separate ways. Tiger is captured by a mouse Native American and hailed as a god. Fievel is picked up by a hawk and dropped over the mouse Indian village and reunites with Tiger. Tiger chooses to stay in while Fievel catches a passing tumbleweed, which takes him to Green River. As soon as he makes his arrival, he quickly reunites with his family, but fails to convince them of Caterwaull's plans to kill them. He later stumbles into the saloon where he overhears the cat's plan yet again, before he's discovered once more by Caterwaull. However, before Caterwaull can eat Fievel to keep his plan from becoming undone, he hears Tanya singing and is enchanted by her voice. He sends Tanya to Miss Kitty, who is now a saloon girl cat, and she reveals that she came at Caterwaull's request. He tells Miss Kitty to put her on stage. With a little encouragement from Miss Kitty, she pulls off a performance for the cast. Meanwhile, Fievel is chased by a Tiarchula and briefly taken prisoner, but flees. Now for the ending. You know the procedure like always. You have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, continue on. Here we go. Okay, you've been warned. While Fievel is walking out of town, he stops to talk with an elderly bloodhound sleeping outside the jail, discovering that he is actually Wiley Burp. Fievel convinces him to help and train Tiger as a lawman and as a dog. Tiger is reluctant at first, but relents at the suggestion that a new person might win back Miss Kitty. They go back to Green River to fight the cats, who attempt to kill the mice at sunset during the opening of Caterwaull's saloon using a concealed giant mouse trap. Tiger, Wiley, and Fievel intervene and battle the cats, during which Miss Kitty and Tanya discover the trap. Tanya rushes to the mice and, using her singing and knowing that Caterwaull will not allow the trap to be triggered if she is there, alerts them to the trap and warns them to flee. Seeing this, Caterwaull unveils a giant revolver which he fires at the fleeing mice as a makeshift cannon, until Wiley catapults Fievel to the gun, which the mouse quickly I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. Intercepts from and attempts to use against Caterwaull. When Tiarchula threatens to kill Miss Kitty in an attempt to force Fievel to back down, however, and since Tiger rescues her and uses Tiarchula's web as a lasso with him trapped on it to hurl Caterwaull and his men out of town by having them piled on part of the trap, which the heroes use as a catapult. The cats fly into the air and land into a mailbag, which a passing train picks up and leaves. Enamored by his new personality, Miss Kitty and Tiger are reunited. Tanya becomes a famous singer, and the water flows with 1,000 gallons of water again, making Green River bloom with thousands of flowers. Fievel finds Wiley away from the party, who hands him his sheriff badge. Fievel's unsure about taking it, but realizes that his journey is not over. End of story. So what did I think of An American Tail Fievel Goes West? Well, I like it. I mean, it might not quite be as memorable as its predecessor, but I do think it's very good. I mean, again, we got most of the same cast. Philip Glasser as Fievel, Dom DeLuise as Tiger. Of course, after he had recently done Mr. Bluth's previous film, All Dogs Go to Heaven, of course, he voiced Itchy. let's see, and let's see. Nehemiah Persoff and Erica Youngback as Papa and Mama Mousekewitz. They were once again really good too. Now, Kathy Cavadini did a good job on voicing Tanya. And I do believe that name does sound familiar, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, of course, Cavadine would later go on to voice Blossom on the Powerpuff Girls years later, as well as the animated spin-off of this, Fievel's American Tales, which premiered on CBS the following year. Let's see. Amy Irving voices Miss Kitty, who I know Irving best from Carrie and Honeysuckle Rose. John Cleese, who I'm certainly familiar with this guy. He's appeared in numerous movies and TV shows like The Brickcom Faulty Towers. He does a good job as Caterwall. John Lovitz, who's appeared in numerous movies, most notably some of Adam Sandler's movies. He does the voice of Tiarchula. Very good performance. And of course, the late great Jimmy Stewart voicing Wily Bird, but this, of course, will be his final film performance. Anyway, I was impressed with him as well. Really something. Anyway, nevertheless, the film still did well. While it may not have made as big as its predecessor, though, the film only went on to make 22 million here in the US alone. But however, it would continue on to be big when it was released on physical media on video cassette, and later on it would get released on DVD as well. Anywho, well, I think it's still pretty good though. So anyway, and the music's good too. It's been some time since I last saw this, but James Horner did an absolute good job on this, and what have you. So anyway, this still did pretty well. Anyway, of course, since this was the first film to be released by Emblemation, Fievel later served as the mascot for the logo for this. Later on, there would be a Fievel-themed playground at Universal Studios Florida and lots of other things. And of course, the following year in September of '92, Fievel's American Tales came out. Most of the voice acting cast did return, except for John Cleese. And of course, the full series of that is currently on Peacock, and don't worry, you don't have to get premium to see it. But I'll save that for a Saturday morning TV log down the road. There would also be video games as well. There'd be a Tiger Electronics LCD game, and a computer game was released 2 years later, and even a game for Super Nintendo 3 years later, which of course was done by Hudson Soft, the same company that did the video game for that other film that came out the same time, Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. Of course, it was heavily praised for its presentation, although its simple gameplay garnered divided opinions. I've never played it. I've seen a walkthrough of the game though. There was also a Game Boy Advance game as well called American Tail Fievel's Gold Rush, which came out in 2002. And a couple of months later, after the film's release, Marvel Comics ran a 3-issue series based on Fievel Goes West, so that's pretty good. But anyway, with a pretty good story, and which isn't too bad, but I do like the feel, the atmosphere of the film, and with most of the voice acting cast back, plus a few new ones, and a great score by James Horner. In the end, would I recommend an American Tail Fievel Goes West? Well, excuse me, everyone. I'm getting all. Well, I hate it when that happens. Well, let me put it to you this way. I'd say sure, go ahead, give it a try. I mean, if you've seen the first one, I'd say maybe give this one a one-time watch. And if you're not satisfied with this, then I can't say I didn't try. There would also be 2 direct-to-video sequels as well. I don't know if I'm gonna review those because I've only seen those one time. They're okay, but they're not as good as this. I would rather watch this over those two. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on American Tail Fievel Goes West in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me next time when I bring to you a review of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Thank you for watching, and if you like this, you may want to consider checking out my reviews for these other films. Now, I'm sure you caught the card for the first movie, so I failed to tell you to click on that before I got into the review. So you'll probably have already seen. But if you like this review, check out my reviews for the other films I'm going to mention. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of the underrated sequel to Don Bluth's previous film, and in All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. The upper right-hand corner is my review for The Land Before Time, or if you want something else, you can see a real good movie when you see my spoiler-free review for the current hit movie Ghostbusters Afterlife. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.